All right, back to our breaking news now from the United Nations. Fox News is now confirming that the 5 permanent members of the Security Council are supposed to meet on the issue of Syria this afternoon. That's the U.S., Russia, China, England, and France. And moments ago, White House spokesman Jay Carney told reporters in the briefing that it will be difficult to take control of Syria's chemical weapons and that we will need, quote, Russia to make it happen. Joining me now, KT McFarland, a Fox News national security analyst. KT, what do you make of what's happening over at the UN, a few blocks away from here, and Jay Carney's comment?
It's not just the UN, it's what's happening in Washington, Geneva, and Moscow. We have seen one of the most stunning collapses and reversals of superpower status, probably in the history of the world. Within about 48 hours, the United States has gone from being the preeminent power in the Middle East to now the second, the one country that's no longer essential. It turns out that leading from behind has real consequences. It created a power vacuum up front. The Russians have filled it. And in quick order, here's what they've done. President Obama got himself in a box when he drew that red line about Syria chemical weapons. President Obama tried to talk to Congress. The American people are against it. The Russians knew it, so they offered him a lifeline. And they said, we'll work with the Syrians. We'll get the Syrians to dismantle their chemical weapons. And it looked really good, Martha, but what happened was the fine print. The fine print was that the Russians have apparently said, oh, by the way, while we're getting Syria to dismantle the chemical weapons, we want to make sure that you, America, promise never to use military force against Syria while that happens. And then what they did just a few hours ago is the Russians have said that they're going to meet with a new Iranian leader who's coming to Moscow, and what they're going to do is give him something called the S-300. It's a state-of-the-art missile defense system. Once the Iranians have that, they become invulnerable to any kind of Israeli attack. So the Russians have just absolutely flipped everything upside down in the Middle East, and we never saw it coming.
Yeah, I mean, it is stunning. And when you think about the fact that the story that's coming out of the White House is that, we actually planned this all along. We were laying the groundwork for this. John Kerry is now saying something that, he said that was sort of an offhanded remark. Oh, well, maybe we won't hit them with a missile strike if they decide to turn over all their chemical weapons. But he said that's never going to happen, obviously, was the last word that he said on that. Now he says, well, this was all part of my plan. We were laying the groundwork for this. And then they also have said, as you've pointed out many times, that it's the threat of the military strike that actually brought us to this point where they were willing to turn them over. But if you're going to erase the threat of the military strike, what on earth would be the motivation for Syria to say, oh, yeah, sure, Russia, we'll turn them over to you now? There's nothing hanging over that.
We've just given up our leverage. And that is the critical issue with regard to Syria. Once the president says we're not going to have any attacks, we're going to stay our hand, we're going to forswear any military operate, we're going to put everything on pause, what you've just told the Russians and the Syrians, take your time. Yeah. We are never going to do anything to punish you. And Martha, I saw this firsthand in 1972. Henry Kissinger was in the White House briefing room. We were in the middle of the Vietnam peace negotiations and in the middle of a presidential campaign. Kissinger was this close to a peace agreement, and he announced peace is at hand. The North Vietnamese heard that, and all of a sudden peace was not at hand. They started backtracking, they stalled the negotiations. It wasn't until Richard Nixon bombed North Vietnam in Christmas of 1972 that the North Vietnamese came back to the table and settled very quickly. Yeah. What has Obama just done? He said, no Christmas bombing, we're taking it off the table. We just gave up our leverage. Yeah.
And you also remember the discussion that President Obama had with Medvedev, saying in my second term, when it comes to missile defense, I'll have a little bit more flexibility on that. And it is possible that, some of that is playing out in a very different way with Iran, as you pointed out. KT, thank you very much.
Thanks,
we'll see
Martha.
you next time.